So there's only one question, and I would love to know your answer about this question too, is how can women identify and heal old wounds from past relationships and experiences that may be preventing them from feeling ready for love?
How can they identify them? So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, right? Because by default, we don't know our own self-limiting beliefs. And that's because they're unconscious. So by default, you won't be able to work on them on your own. And that's the truth of the matter. You're going to need to work with an expert, therapist or a coach or someone else. So I do recommend that you start either listening to accounts that talk about some of these things, and you might associate with some of those things, maybe even with the book attached, and see where you start feeling sort of on the map, let's call it. But true identification can only happen from an expert. And I'm not saying that like to go, sign up with my stuff. Go sign up with anyone else that is local and people that you resonate with. Okay. Who do you feel safe with? Who do you feel seen and heard and vulnerable with? And that's going to be step number one, because we can't identify our own blueprints. Just plain and simple. We can't see the label of the nutrition facts if we're inside the bottle. We're blind to it, right? So we need someone else who's an expert in being able to help us with that. There are several books around how to identify if you're potentially in a dangerous situation with a person and potentially some red flags. So I will recommend that book. And that book is called Psychopath Free. And the reason I bring that book up is because too often women stay in relationships, and to your point, Lou, earlier, will justify a person's behavior even when they know they're being treated like shit. They will have to justify their behavior because the ego needs to justify behavior or else it goes insane. So often we know that something doesn't feel good. We're like, oh, but he was really tired. Oh, but he was really busy. Oh, but blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's really the only book I can recommend on that in terms of identifying someone else's red flags, and then see if you identify yourself in that, so that you can start sort of figuring out which way to move forward. And that's where it gets really tricky, because I wish I could tell you, oh, you know what, just go and take this assessment.